Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back, and as always thank you for the support. So apologies there wasn't a video the other day. I did attempt to make this same thing I'm going to do today. I'm a glutton for punishment, but the video didn't go very well, and I wasn't really happy with it at the end. I will show you at the end when I finish this one. Hopefully this is going to go a lot better, and I'm going to be using different papers with it anyway. Okay, so I'm going to move that just out of the way for a second, and I'm going to bring in my trimmer. So this is a Tonic super trimmer, and the only reason I use this one is because the blades, the replacement blades on it were pretty inexpensive. So and it's a good trimmer. I mean, it does get sort of blocked up in this sort of gully bit there sometimes, but it is easily cleaned out, and it's sort of served me well. Okay, so there are other videos of how to make this self-closing box on YouTube, different sizes. I've sort of sized mine up a little bit because I'm going to be doing it out of A4. I suspect it may not completely close up at the bottom, but we can put a mat and layer over that to fix it, but it's going to be very much nearly there. Okay, so I'm going to cut this down to 11, and it needs to be 8 1/4, so you can see I might be all right there. So yeah, so on this side it's exactly there, and then this side it's a little bit under, so I'm just gonna leave that as it is. So we've got 11 by the A4. And then I'm going to bring in my Hunky Dory scoreboard. I'm using the small one purely because that's the only one I've got. Okay, so with my card on here long ways, I'm going to score at 1 inch. And I have to turn that over because my board is not long enough. And then this bottom edge, if I rotate it round, it should be well, this, now let me do it this way, because with that bottom piece not being quite right, so I'm going to score at 1 and at 7. Okay, so this piece here should be the 1 1/4, but like I say, it might be slightly off just because my card doesn't seem to be exactly straight. This card is part of a pack that I got from Craft Stash. I think it's Craft UK. It's 300 GSM. Normally I get my cardstock, my white cardstock, from Crafter's Companion, but they were out of stock, so I just Google searched 300 GSM, and this was sort of cheaper, slightly cheaper, and there was more sheets. There was, I think there's 50 for about £9.99, and in the Crafter's Companion one I do believe there's 30. And I recently, because they've got no A3 card, I actually bought the same Cardcraft UK, I think it is, and that was 50 sheets again for a similar sort of price as Crafter's Companion. So hopefully it's going to work out okay, but we will see as it goes along. So we've done our 1 inch and we've done our 7, and now we're going to go to 5, and then I'm going to have to turn it over and score 1. Okay, so normally that would be 5, 10. Okay, if you've got the bigger board. If not, you can rotate it like me. Okay, so let's pop that out of the way. Oh, the other thing I need to do as well, before I forget. So on these longer edges, so on this base bit, I just want to mark the halfway point. So it's going to be 2.5, and then if I turn that over, so that's going to be 3.5 on that one, because we've got that inch on there at the start. So that is, I do need to cut down that, but it just gives me an idea, you know, without marking on my paper, of where to go. Alright, so I'm just going to give all of these a good burnish down. And I've done this tab at 1 inch, which is quite generous. You could get away with doing 1/2 inch really. So I'm just going to give those all a good burnish down. Those don't need burnishing because they're going to be cut. Okay, so these ones that we sort of did the halfway mark, let me just turn that around so I can see it just because of my lights. And we're just going to cut straight down the middle there and there. And then this piece here, and I will turn it over so you can see exactly where I've cut. And this piece here, because this is our tab. And we need to cut this one down the middle as well. Okay, so this is the right side of our template with my tab to the left. That's just the way I work. Obviously you can reverse it if you are lefty. So we've got the tab, we've cut the top bit off there and a little bit in, and we've done the same here because that will be gluing our thing together and hiding it underneath. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just grab my ruler, and I've got, or I did have, oh no, put it down, lose it. So I've just got, this is from a flower forming kit by McGill. Crafter's Companion do the same sort of thing. So with my ruler, this from where the point where I've cut to the, we've got our inch here, that corner there. I'm just going to use this as a scoring tool, just slightly, just so that our card is going to bend. And then again from that middle point to this point here, and then we're going to do exactly the same on this side. So from the top point down to where we've cut it, and again from this point here to where we've cut it as well. Okay, so now I can go ahead and just give those a little burnish down. To check where I put them, and it does sort of give quite easily, so you know, because that you've put that score mark in there, it does sort of want to go in that direction, so it's quite nice and easy to do this. Obviously if it's not bending easy, it might be worth just going over it again with your score tool. Okay, so now this is what we've got here, so hopefully you can see those diamonds there. Okay, so I'm going to pop this together now. So let's turn it over the right way. I'm going to grab some red liner tape, if I can find the end. There it is. Just bring our scissors back. And I am going to be using some tacky glue as well. And what I'm also going to do is just pop a piece on this last one and the second one. Okay, I'm going to give all of those tape really good burnish down, just so I can see there's no air underneath it, and then I know it's totally stuck down to my card. So we'll start with this end first of all. I'm just going to take that red tape off. Actually, I'll turn it that way. And bring in my tacky glue. This is the Crafter's Companion tacky glue. I do also like the Pinflair bookbinding glue, but the one in this. But I found that after you get down to half a bottle, it doesn't flow as well. So all I'm going to do is just fold that over so that's nice and flat. And that's the start of our box. Okay, so then if I take these two bottom pieces off, and if I remember from last time, this is the tricky bit. So because your box is not a regular shape, it's not like a regular square box, so it does sort of fight it a little bit. So I'm going to fold, oh, I forgot to cut that bit there, so apologies, that one needs to be cut there as well to make the flap. Okay, so those ones go in, no, let's do that the other way around. So those ones are going in, I want it nice and square, or as square as I can get them. And see, it doesn't quite meet in the middle, but that's fine, and that's purely because that my cardstock wasn't quite straight. Okay, but what we will do, if I grab my ruler and just press that down, what I will do is make a little covering for the bottom anyway, and that will give it strength, and I will put that on the inside and on the outside, but that's the bare bones of it. So doesn't need to be tied up with string or anything, just naturally seals itself. It doesn't stand quite flush, it has a bit of a rock to it, and that does seem to be, from what I've seen of ones online as well, they all do seem to be the same. Okay, so what we can do now is start to decorate that. Okay, so I've come back to this Once Upon a Time pad because I thought it was pretty cute. And I think I might as well use these bits up. So let me take those out. Yeah, it saves wasting them. And on the other box I did do 2 layers. I did a black layer and then I did the papers. And I sort of think it is better just to have the papers because the paper sticks a bit closer to the card on here. When you've got card on card, or paper on card, it was bowing a bit, but I will show you on the finished sample when we come to that. Okay, so the measurement for this piece down here was a 5 by 6. So I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to cut it at 2 notches under the 6, just because I want that bit of border round, and then 2 notches under the 5. So that will be the way up that paper goes. And then we also need to do the same on the back, so 2 notches under the 6 and 2 notches under the 5. Obviously if you want to do a little bit more than that, if you want a thicker border, you know I like to keep mine pretty neat. Right, so these are the 2 pieces that we're going to use. Just make sure I've got, yeah, I think I'm going to go that way around. Now the most important thing at this point when you come to decorating, because we need to fold this in half to find the half point, is the easiest way to do it. Just remember that your half point is at the bottom of your box. So if you've got papers like this that really, I mean the writing needs to be that way up, make sure when you fold it in half, like I'm going to do here, just to mark that middle point, that's at the bottom of your paper, so that you're cutting your diagonal that way. Otherwise, as in my first 2 examples that I did when I was practicing this, it took me, I'm a slow learner, sometimes it took me a while to figure out why I was going wrong. Your papers will be upside down. Okay, so if you want to mark it with a pencil on the back just to make it easier, I can see that mark there fairly easily. So I'm just lining that fold up to the groove in my cutter and cutting down. And then it's easy at this point because you've already got the cut, and you're just going to pop the tip in there and the other corner up there, and those are your pieces. Okay, so doing the same thing again, just folding it in half because it's paper, it folds nice and easy. Just marking that down, just checking where I've got that, so that's there. Oh, it's on that line, which is why it's harder to see. there, and then same again on here, corner to that point. Okay, and then these should fit nicely into our bits on here. And that's just a little bit on the wonk for some reason. Let me just take a tiny bit off that. What I'm going to do is just hold that on there, she says. Just take that little bit off. I'm not quite sure why. It didn't work. I didn't have a problem on any of my other ones, so okay. So I'm happy with that. Okay. And I'll just actually just check that. And there. Like I say, if you want to go smaller and go, you know, sort of 1/4 of an inch off from the start and do a much bigger border, you know, whatever you want to do is not a problem. Okay, so I'm going to bring in some Lagoon, and I've got a little dauber here. I'm not sure if this is the right one for this, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. That's gone a lot darker. And just to make it look like we've got other layers, what I'm going to do is just go around the edges on here. It's just going to bring that darkness in and make it look like there's a layer behind it, a matte layer behind it, but it's still going to give us that flexibility that we need. And obviously just make sure you do it on the side that you're going to be using, otherwise you have to go back round again. And this is just the quick dry ink, so it dries nice and quick. So just working my way around all of these, and any of the inks will do this. So you could use your opaques, you could use your water reactive ones. If you want to go ahead and sort of really ink into it, that would look nice as well. I just wanted that little tip. And you can see it just brings that pattern really forward, just that little bit of ink there. I mean, if you haven't got any coloured inks, just go in. If you've got a black ink for stamping, use that, it'll be fine. Around. And you could even, if you haven't got any daubers, just go around with your ink pad. Mine's quite juicy, but you can just go around like so around the edges. You will get more ink pooling on it, so just be careful if you've got a super juicy one like I have. Okay, so the other thing I saw online with a lot of people that have made these, what they did before they assembled it, they embossed on there just to give that a bit of patterning. You can certainly do that if you want to. I didn't want to, so I didn't bother. Okay, so the other thing I just forgot about was this piece here that we want to cover up. And I believe it's 2.5 inches pretty much. Yeah, so just under 2.5. So I'm going to go to 2.25, I think. No, I am going to go to 2.5. And we'll check that first of all. That's a little bit smaller, but we'll see how that fits. That's going to fit fine. Okay, and then I'll just grab my ink. I don't have to do too much because there's ink already on here. We'll just work our way around. Okay, that was the last bit. Right, so I'm going to be using, I think I'm actually going to use my all-purpose glue. So this is the Kalao one, the Crafter's Companion one. Hunky Dory do the same thing. It's an alcohol-based ink, alcohol-based glue, which evaporates, or you know, it evaporates a little bit in the air because of the alcohol, but it does dry super hard. The only thing you do need to be aware of is that it's really bad to use it, or it's really, you have to be super careful if you use it with anything foiled, okay, because and anything pearlized, because it can take the finish off. Okay, so I'm just going to go around all of these pieces here. Now this Once Upon a Time, the only thing that I've got from this kit is the papers. Okay, so I can't put any die cuts or anything on. So if you've got any of those, you can be using those to decorate it. Okay. I'm sort of matching up this design, so we've got this flower at the top, and that's on there, so I'm just making sure that's not moving about too much. And we can turn it over, you can see where I've had ink on my hands. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't play with inks very often. So again, just lining that up, popping it on, giving it a bit of a press down. Just move that around. I think hindsight, it probably would have been better with that 1/4 inch smaller for my layer. So next time I do that, definitely need to make a little note on this. So when I make something new, what I generally tend to do is keep either an example of it with notes by it, so I know for next time if something could have gone better, or if I think I should have done it slightly different way. Okay, and then this last little bit is going on the bottom. I'm not sure that way went. There we go. Okay, so that's how we're looking at the moment. So what I'm going to do is just give those, just checking they haven't moved, we'll give those a little while to settle down and glue, and while it's doing that we can go ahead with the next bit, so the decoration. Like I say, if you've got any of the dies from this kit, they would be perfect to decorate it. I haven't, so I'm just going to do this like a little tag. So I'm going to use this With Love, which is from the box 54, the subs box 54. I'm also going to use these inverted stitch scallop circles, and I think I'm using this one, or should I go smaller? I think we probably could do smaller. Yeah, let's go smaller. So let's put that one away. And this is just a circle that's come from my other circle nesting dies, which just happens to be Carnation Crafts. Okay, so I need to cut a couple of different things out. So let me bring my plates in. So I'm going to be using my G2, and I'm going to cut, let's do these plain bits first of all. So I want some black. Let's see if I've got a piece big enough here. May have an odd little piece from the other day. If not, there we go. So we can pop that onto there. And I also want those in black, I think. Just check there's nothing in there. There is a little bit, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And then I also want some white. So I'll use a little bit of this pearlized white just for a little bit of something different. And if I put that the right way around, that is going to go onto there. So let's pop those through. Let's turn her on, and there she goes. Not sure what that was. Something falling off the other side. Okay, so if I move those out of the way. So we need this circle again because it partners up with that one, and those should be fine. So let's just move that out of the way, and I think, let's see, so you're only going to see the edge of that, and I think it might be quite nice if we get those bits of gold. So if I grab my tape again, I just want to make sure that is in the middle. I might reuse a bit of this tape here. Okay. Up onto there. And we will pop. No, we won't, not like that. We will pop that there. And then that through. There we go. I'm worried about getting this green on everything now. Okay. Pop those out and move these out of the way. Okay, so if I ease these off nice and gentle. And we've got this here. We've got our white, which will go exactly behind it. And then we've got our With Love, and we've got our black background that will go behind that. I am going to just grab my little dauber. I'm just going to match that up with this same colour. Obviously if you wanted it to be more purple, then you can do. That's just that bit there, and obviously I didn't have to re-ink that back up. So the other thing I need to do, I'm just going to use the top of my glue because my pokey tool is hiding, is just pop this sentiment out, and I'm just using a With Love one. But this box could be for absolutely anything. Be lovely for a kids parties. They're not that hard, although they take a little bit of time to put together. But okay, so there we've got our elements, and I've also got some purple ribbon. Okay, so I'm gonna grab some hunky dory these are 2mm pads. And I'm going to start by popping these onto there. And we'll just whip those off. And I just want a little bit of dimension. This is the only thing that's going on our box besides the ribbon. So I just want to give it this bit a little bit of importance by giving it a bit of height. And this bit, because it is quite thin, you can't go any height on here. I suppose you could use the narrow hunky dory foam, but it's, you know, paper, it's quite flimsy anyway, so personally I wouldn't. I suppose you could, if you were using that super narrow one. Let me show you if I put one there. I don't think I have. Although I think I might have bought. No, I didn't. If you've got the super narrow one, you could turn this into a little shaker on here, which would be quite cool. Okay, so this last little bit, so I'm just going to put some glue on the back of my hand. Be careful when you put glue on the back of your hand. Some people will have a sensitivity to it. So it's just like when you have your hair done, you know, patch test, just be very careful. I'm sort of pretty hardy to anything except the latex they put in medical bandages, which for some reason when they're on my skin for a length of time cause me damage, but that's the only thing. So I'm just gonna pull my scissors back. And let's see, where's my bow maker? There's the little bow maker. I'm just going to make, I don't know if this might be too small, we can always undo it if it is. Yeah, I think that's going to be too small. Let's go with a slightly bigger bow. So on the other box I tied the bow by hand, so you'll see that one in a second. So I did some gardening the other day, and the hedges at the front needed to be cut down, so every time I use the hedge trimmer I lose a little bit of the use of my hands. So I'm a bit fingers and thumbs today, so I apologise. It does tend to resolve itself after a little bit of time, so when I stop using them. Okay. So I'm going to put that on last, because once I start moving it around, the bow will move if I don't keep it flat. So, and then lastly, what I'm going to do is bring in some of these clear gems. Have I got any of the little ones? Yeah, there we go. Let's order some more of these. And I'm just going to do it on one side. I'm just going to put it on what I think will be the front of my box. These I didn't use on my other box, so this is going to give it a little bit of a different look. And let's grab my, I need to pick up tool as well. So I'm just going to turn those over the right way. Got my little tray there. It would be easier to put them in the tray, but here we've done it this way now. So let's see, which side shall we use? I think I'm going to go on this side. I'm going to have this side on the front. So again, I'm going to use some more of these foam pads. So just going to give it a little bit of importance by giving it a little bit of a lift. You could always use a hunky-dory topper. The little flower decoupages, you know, the ones I use sometimes from Crafter's Companion, would be nice on here. Those little butterflies from Timeless Butterflies would be nice on here. I've sort of kept it quite simple, really. Okay, so I'm going to turn it upside down just for the purpose of putting these gems on, and I'm just going to keep them on this centre bit. Okay, so I'm just going to pick out a few bits of detail. No sort of real rhyme and reason to it, really. It's just a case of popping some bits on, and on there, that one there, and then these little ones can go in the centre of there. And you can use sparklies if you like, it's whatever your preference is. So let's see, and I think what I might do as well is pop some on here just for decoration. I'm going to go with the tiny ones. Oh, it's not going way up. And this glue will dry clear, so we don't have to worry about that. So how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll go with a medium one there. Okay, and then we've got our bow, which is going to come at the top. So now we are sort of finished. I can put a decent sized blob and pop this at the top. Now it will take a little while to go off, so I will have to put it, well, we'll leave that for a second. Actually, what I could do is use my cloud glue. Let's see if this is going to let me have some out of it, because I have been, since I broke the lid off it, it's sort of oops, not been so kind to me. But let's just put a little hole in the tube there and get some glue out. Only 2 seconds. So just because my glue's stuck up there, what I'm doing is I'm just popping a little cut in there, just a tiny bit, so I can use it. I'm going to squeeze some out because it's only stuck there, and just take a little bit out. Might be a little bit more than I need. Now that will seal itself back up and dry on that edge. So I'm just going to pop that on there, and we'll pop that ribbon back on, and that will stay there, although it will need to dry overnight. Okay, so let me put that glue out of the way before I glue myself to it. So again, you know, like I said, showed you before, that's the way the box opens. What I will do is put a little bit more glue on here, just to get that to stay down. Let's do that like so. It does, because of the way the box is moving, it does put pressure on that corner, and I did think initially it might be due to the amount of card that I've put on, but it could just be that I've not glued my ends enough. Sometimes I'm so guilty of not wanting my glue to splurge. I can be a little bit tentative with it, but yeah, so that is our box. Okay, what I'll do is just put that down flat to dry. I'll show you the one I did make before. Okay, like I say, I wasn't happy with the way it comes up at the corners, and I did think that that might be because of the amount of layers I've put on. Again, you can see it's a little bit harder to open with more layers on, but it does still, does still do the job, but it's just a little harder. But you can see I did that one in the blue hummingbird, and I think that one's actually the nicer one, if I'm honest with you, in terms of colours. And I think I prefer the black there as well. But they're both pretty cute little boxes, decent size. If you go on Pinterest and search self-closing boxes, there are loads and loads of templates that you can find, and some of them are a bit smaller, so they'd be ideal for little Halloween boxes. If you only decorated one side, you wouldn't use a lot of paper, as you could put little sweets in. Kids could just pick one up, and then they'd have to work out how to get into them, because I don't think it's obvious that what you need to do is just give it a little squeeze. But it's a cute little box. I don't know what you think. I thought it was a cute little box. So next time I'm going to be coming back with Hunky Dory Blockbuster. Yay, Christmas is here in June. It is, like they say, it is the most anticipated product of their year, and you know, it's not difficult to see why, is it? It is absolutely stunning. And what I thought I would do this time, so normally what I do is make 1 or 2 cards, and you know, that's it. The pack goes away for a little while. But there's a charity that I thought I might like to support, and I can't do it from here because they're based in Scotland. So what I thought I might do is, for each collection, I'm going to work my way through the kits. Not so much on film. I'll do a couple on the videos, but behind the scenes, I will sort of build up a collection of the cards. and then I'll do a video and show everything I've made with that collection, and then I'll pop them on eBay and just see what I can raise for charity there. If I can get the money back for the kit and then raise some for charity. The charity that I want to support is called Give a Dog a Bone, and what they do is they match dogs that are in shelters. They're elderly dogs that, you know, people would find hard to place, and they help match them with elderly lonely people, and they help them with support with the bills and, you know, medical expenses, the rehoming fees, all of that. And I just think that's really fantastic. So I really would like to be able to support them in a small way if I can. Big way it would be even better, but I think it's probably just going to be a little small way. You know, I always talk about my dogs. I love my dogs. So yeah, hunky dory next time. I've also ordered the Spellbinders Better Press. I've been told it does go through, or I've read that it does go through the Big Shot, so I'm going to have to dig my old Big Shot out, and I'd like to do a little video on that at some point as well. But definitely hunky dory next. So Christmas is coming, ho ho ho. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. As always, I love your comments and the support, and if you could think about subscribing if you haven't done already, that would be really appreciated, because it would help me long term to be able to get to lives. So I've got to have 1,000 subscribers before they'll let me do lives, and I really would like to try doing that at some point. But take care of yourselves. See you next time. Bye bye.